Broken families, which leads to orphaned kids and kids that are entered into the foster care system, that's a problem everywhere. It happens in the United States, it happens here in Alabama, but in the city of Iquitos, Peru, it is 27 times more likely to happen, and there are many reasons for this. Poverty, absent fathers, addiction, health disparities, these are all reasons that lead to cycles of abuse, neglect, and abandonment of children. So Not Forgotten exists to combat this cycle of abandonment. In fact, that's their motto: build hope, break the cycle. So now that you're up to speed, I would like to give you an update of what's going on down in Peru, because this year it is amazing. By the way, one thing I'd hope you consider, at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you about how you can support Not Forgotten at patreon.com/notforgotten. So if you like what's going on, I'm going to ask you to consider that at the end of this video. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Years ago, my wife Tara went down to Peru and she visited an orphanage, and she learned about a project that my buddy Tyler was going to do. He was going to build an orphanage, but they were going to do it in a holistic way. The goal was to focus on the family and not so much just try to care for kids in terms of giving them a place to sleep and feeding them. They wanted to break the cycle of abandonment, and Tyler had a vision to do this. All this stuff has happened. We built many houses over the years. There's these amazing people, the house parents, they actually serve as mother and father for these children. It's amazing. Not Forgotten is doing incredible things, and we're seeing real fruits from all the work through all the years and all the support that people have given. And so this year, it was a really interesting ask. Tyler and Allison, who run Not Forgotten, they invited a group from their church and also a group of dads and our sons to go down to Peru to do an interesting trip within a trip with the boys from Not Forgotten. My son has always asked when he would be old enough to visit Not Forgotten, and as exciting as the airplane ride over the Amazon rainforest to see the winding rivers and the mototaxis in the streets of Iquitos were to him, he was most excited about getting to connect with the boys at Not Forgotten with his friends from America. We started by letting the boys meet each other. We've got all these American boys, and they're gonna meet all the Peruvian boys that are living there at Not Forgotten. I was so proud just seeing them out there, overcoming the awkwardness of the language barrier, getting in the mix, and just making friends. Easy. That first night, there was a special treat. Dance is a huge part of the culture in Peru, and the young boys gathered us up all in the gazebo down at the pond, and they wanted to show us some dances they've been working on, and at one point they even wanted us to get in the mix, and it was a whole lot of fun. All that friendship that they forged, which was the point of this time, it worked to our advantage because we then rolled right in to learning what we were going to do in the next phase of the trip. The Peruvian boys were the leaders, and they were teaching our sons how they were going to plumb this special faucet and shower head situation. They had to learn how to do all this, and for all the boys present, this was some of the first time they've ever used tools. The next thing we did is we all loaded up in a really long boat called a pungero, which is awesome, by the way. Just how they navigate this thing on the Amazon River is fascinating, and that could be a whole video of itself. The American boys used the boat ride as an opportunity to catch a much needed nap. We went all the way down or up the river, I can't remember which direction it was, and we went to a little village called El Chino. And the purpose of coming to El Chino is this is a city, or a town I guess I should say, that seasonally floods. And these people do not have clean drinking water. Many of these people walk down the steep riverbanks 2 or even 3 times a day to fetch water in buckets. If you do the math of how much time is just spent fetching water down to the river and back, it's over a year of their lifespan that they can get that time and use it for other things. So the boys from Not Forgotten had come the year previously, and they had established a large water cistern on a water tower in the center of this village. And the objective that the Not Forgotten boys set out for the entire team is that we were going to plumb pipes into the homes of the people that live in El Chino. Now this was interesting because it's like a mission trip within a mission trip, right? So our boys are there working with the Not Forgotten boys, and we're going to El Chino. Now this is key because this taught, and I thought this was a stroke of genius on behalf of Gene, who leads Not Forgotten there in Peru. His vision was, we want to show the boys from Not Forgotten that they have value, and they have the ability to lead and serve their country and their peers. But what was more interesting is they got the people from El Chino involved. So it wasn't like, hey, we're from Not Forgotten, we're gonna come plumb your village. We got all the teenagers and all the young kids from the village involved. So what we did is we had these little games that we would play. They would all get together and they would hang out, and they had what they called a camp. And our boys were playing with the Not Forgotten boys, which were playing with the boys and girls from El Chino. It was a blast watching them just enjoy each other's company, but after all the fun and games, they got down to work. There was this main tube they ran through the whole village, the Madre Tubo, or the Tubo Madre, the mother tube is what they called it. And they then had a T going to each house, and at each house they had a spigot and they had a shower head. And one of the most beautiful things about this whole experience was watching, even though the boys were leading the charge on getting these pipes into the houses, they still needed help. And they got that from their parents, their house parents. The father figure stepped right in and taught the boys how to do the work. And seeing a father teach a son how to do things with his hands just warms my heart. Okay, I want to show you this. This is a really cool moment. This is Adrian. He's my friend. Hola. And these two young men are learning how to use tools from their dad, which is 1,000,000,000% awesome. It's important to note this was not a group of Americans going to install water in a village in Peru. This was a Peruvian project executed by Peruvians. The Americans were just there to build relationships.
Double, double, this, double, double, that, double, this, double, that.
There came a moment when they turned on the master valve from the filtration system under the water cistern, and everybody was ready for water to fill up the pipes. I think we kind of expected that water was just instantly going to start flowing, but that's not what happened at all, because turns out if you have pipes over an entire village, that is a lot of volume, and it takes a really, really long time for all of those pipes to fill up. And that's exactly what happened. So the kids waited around for a little while. They got tired of it and they went off to play. But while they were doing that, I snuck into a house, and I want to introduce you to Amelia. Amelia has lived in this village for 63 years, and she has got water from the river or rainwater her entire life. And so I want you to see her reaction when she gets clean water in her house for the first time. She laughed, she splashes it on her face, and then she did something really cool.
Me van a probar
No quiero que se desperdicie el agua.
Muy bien. Hola.
Funciona?
Yeah.
This was an amazing trip. We learned so much, and I was reminded yet again of the effectiveness of Gene and Patty, Tyler and Allison's strategy with Not Forgotten when we were back in Iquitos and we were about to leave. We were eating at a restaurant together, all of us, and a young man that was working at the restaurant, John Kennedy, he came out and he recognized Tyler and they started speaking. John Kennedy was in the program, and he was now supporting his family, and he was working a stable job out in the community. He had broken the cycle of abandonment, and he was there for his family, and he was earning money, and it was just amazing to listen to that conversation because Tyler and John were talking to each other as peers, and it was a miracle. I mean, it was very emotional. And I didn't record that because that's their own private conversation, but it was incredible. And that's what Tyler and Allison, Gene and Patty do with these boys. They teach them all these things, and the host parents. They teach them personal integrity and ownership, and ultimately that helps break the cycle of abandonment. So if you are interested in supporting Not Forgotten, I would say your dollar is going to go to a great cause, and you are going to help make a father in Iquitos, Peru. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/notforgotten. It's important to have a lot of people supporting at a very small amount because that brings stability to everything. And your money goes to pay these host parents, it goes to pay Gene and Patty, and it goes to feed these boys, and it's awesome. So if you want to try that, patreon.com/notforgotten. I would be grateful. I have been blessed in my life so very much by being a part of this, and I think you will be too. So that's it. I'm Destin. You're getting smarter every day. Please consider supporting at patreon.com/notforgotten. Have a good one. Bye.